right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on back to the booth. We are so freaking excited to be back at it again with our lovely, lovely people. We can't wait to chat with you guys, to chat with each other, to gaze lovingly into each other's eyes, to order off of the kids menu. There's so many things that we get to do on this fine Saturday evening. And we're here. By golly, we're doing it. All right, let's see here. So we're settling in over here at our lovely little booth at the Denny's, and well, I mean, we've already got one person to welcome. Welcome the real Jappy. Subscription for 3 months. So that's a third of the way to being full term with a pregnancy, which is a odd thing to say about a 3 month subscription to a Twitch channel. So thank you for being an investor in the low budget LCS. You can meet us at the board meetings at the Denny's in Vermont, which is where we're shooting this episode right frickin' now. And I'm just gonna pass the buck here to somebody because I need a chance to find how to say sentences again. So Vega, how are you doing on this fine Saturday evening? What are we ordering from the Denny's today?
Always get a grand slam. I think you can't go wrong on a Saturday, assuming you got into some kind of debauchery the night before. You need something hefty on your stomach, kind of soak up all that, get feeling good, get ready for an afternoon nap because I don't know if there's any other football fans out there, but college football's back today. So that's what I've been doing most of my day, and LCS playoffs going on, and all the wonderful LBLCS games that are happening over the weekend. But I'm doing great. Week off, had a birthday, had a lot of fun, got to recover, and now back here with three of my favorite people on this earth. So happy to talk League of Legends with all of you.
Well, we are very happy to talk League of Legends with you, and you're also one of our favorite people on this earth. Valentine, darling, how are you doing on this fine Saturday evening? What would you be ordering from the Denny's today?
Probably the not the five like small kitty pancakes, if you know what I'm talking about. Like that's quick down the hatch. I think it's kind of like a challenge almost to see how quickly I can get through it. But yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm happy to be back. Happy to be doing booth again. Uh, Even though I'm gonna be gone immediately, but like I'm happy to be here now. You know what I mean?
Well, we're happy to have you here. It's a lovely time. Les Forrest, how are you doing on this fine Saturday evening? You are being told that somebody loves you in the chat. You have a secret
Man, that's just
admirer.
like a secret admirer. Um, I'm doing good. Fancy seeing you around these parts. Back to back nights at the booth. Granted, they were different types of booths.
Different booths with
Different
very different
booths,
vibes.
very different vibes. I think I'm gonna take Vegas' advice and probably get a really hefty Grand Slam to undo the nefarious activities of last night. So we're doing good, doing good.
Yeah, I mean, the activities from last night were indeed nefarious. Which that would be a great segue into talking about economy system breach. We will cover executive. Sit tight. We go through up from economy to commercial, financial, and cap it off with our big dogs at the top. So fuck it, we ball. Let's go over and take a look at these economy standings as they stand right now. Nice little stinger action. I made that. Okay, so we are looking at our week or at our standings as we have them so far. Shout out to keep the segue going. Shout out to Nefarious Gaming Omens for scheduling and playing all of their matches, which that's pretty impressive. So
All
taking a look at
all
the
scheduled by all scheduled by Sammy Two Slap, by
all
the
scheduled
way.
by Sammy Two Slap, who just
Yep.
just went out there and scheduled shit. So taking a look at these standings, what are some of the first things that jump out to you guys about this economy group A?
NGO looks really good. One thing that really jumps out, just to give them their flowers for not just scheduling, but a 3-0 start, and not just a 3-0 start, a 6-0 game score start, which is about as dominant as you can be as far as not dropping a single game yet. But below that, we got the soup, right? We got a ton of teams in contention in this group. Like right now, there's no one that really has snagged that second spot. The Spectrum still undefeated, but has games to play. Got a couple teams at 1-1, a couple teams at 1-2, and one team that's only played one game. Don't know what's going on there, but yeah, I think if anything, NGO feels in good shape in this group, and everybody else is it's up in the air. I mean, it's anybody's group to make playoffs as of right now.
It's occurring to me that I've been saying nefarious gaming omens.
Oh, me
It's
too.
actually not occurring to me. It was pointed out. Thank you, Wisdom.
Thank you,
with the-
Wisdom.
with the
You said
very-
it, and then I was
the
like,
very
"That's it."
funny. It's pronounced like it is actually Outlaws. It's on the fucking screen.
It's right there. We can just read it.
It's right there.
Reading's overrated.
reading is a little tough, guys. All right, yeah, we've definitely got a big soup as you're talking about here. There's one team sort of standing at the top, NG Outlaws, standing undefeated. And then all the other teams just sort of mixing in together, just really rubbing shoulders.
Like some
I'm
kind of
gonna stop
concoction
talking
of like
now.
food. Like some
Yes.
kind of like if you put a bunch of stuff into like a pot and made it into like something edible.
Ideally editable, edible.
Like
Ideally edible.
gumbo.
Like gumbo. That would be yeah, gumbo's good.
Like
I mean,
like
everybody
soup,
knows what
maybe?
gumbo is too. So
Nah, I don't know.
I think at least one who does.
well, we don't
like
know
a
him.
soup, all right.
All right. Valentine and Les Force, what are some of the things that just jump out to you about these economy standings, in your opinions?
In A or B? Well, I'll say in B.
A.
'cause it's
Hey, we're on A.
Oh, okay.
We're on
that's
A.
right, we're on A. Yeah, sure. I forgot. I don't know how I forgot, considering we've been only talking about these guys the whole time.
Well, we were off last week, right? So it's like a little like
Yeah,
getting back to the
yeah.
swing of things.
Warming up. This is like the preseason.
in the middle of the season. It's the preseason.
Yeah. We're coming off a bye week.
While Val's looking, I mean, I'll say like if we look at kind of our preseason rankings and then look at the current standings right now, Highland Legion. I mean, they started out 2-0 pretty convincing, and then kind of had a couple rough weeks past 2 weeks. Now, granted, they did face against NGO, who again we have said look really really good. And then they went down 2-0 to Sperm Whales, which I think was a little surprising. That was probably an upset I didn't see coming. You know, we had Sperm Whales as like a dark horse. It sounds like things are still pretty good over at the Legion. You know, they're kind of like it was kind of like a good wake up call, losing to NGO, and they're kind of like, okay, like now we gotta like relock in and get back to the basics. You know, they got a lot of talented players. You know, Pickle, Blanco Mamba, Devil. They've all been there before, so I don't have any doubts that they'll climb up the standings. But you know, as of right now, they kind of find themselves not in the spot I think they were expecting to be.
Yeah, I think, and kind of segue off of that, I think Sperm Whales, after casting them and kind of watching them play in that week 2 game versus Howler Legion, I'm definitely very much agree with our decision to make them dark horses, because that team, the highs that they showed against Legion were high. Maz SP, the mid laner, was an absolute unit, and I think just all across the map, they had someone doing something right, it felt like.
So what I'm hearing is that like this team has some pretty impressive players, some pretty impressive play styles. They're coming together, really playing as a team, not just 5 individual people, which in economy is like that can usually be a bit of a make or break thing for teams. Like, are you going to sort of for determining whether or not they're going to punch above their weight class? And so it sounds like Spermwells just has the formula a little bit here. They know how to play the game the right way. They're coming in with some heat. They're coming in with some excitement, some passion. And you know what? Right. We had them as a dark horse. They're a totally new team. And that's that's always super exciting, right? Seeing a new team come in and be successful in System Breach, the Booth episode 2, as with all of the streams so far this season, thanks to me, have been uploaded to the YouTube channel, so you can go and check that out.
Good job, Jack.
Yeah,
I'm
Thank you
pat
for
on the
that.
back there for sure.
Yeah.
I think one of the coolest things about Sperm Rules is that they are definitely they, to me, kind of have like usurped the idea, because they're not really like the economy way of like draft the big super duper wombo combo strat. I remember their game one. They drafted like Ari Ezreal out of the mid and ADC, just like try and outplay, and that's exactly what happened. So I think they're going to be really interesting to watch till later it goes on in the season because they're kind of trading what was like a certainty in econ for kind of individual agency, which is something you only really see as you go up in leagues.
All right. Well, I mean, it sounds like what we've got on our hands is a great group. A good group of teams that we expected to sort of come out and make this group very one-sided are performing lower than we expected them to, and so we're really hoping to see them kind of get that fire lit under their butts. Litten? Fire lighted?
Yeah.
Fire lit?
I think Litten's a
Lit.
Pokemon.
Just lit. Yes, Litten is in fact a Pokemon.
So
One of
get
the
that fire
Pikachus.
lit under their butts or whatever the verb needs to be, so that they can sort of start coming back swinging. Teams that we expected to be good, but sort of, just good.
More sure.
Yeah,
right?
coming out undefeated. And teams coming in, dark horses, totally new to the league, finding their way up into those playoff spots there. So, I mean, what more could we ask for in a group? We'll happily be wrong. We're happily wrong all of the fucking time. So it doesn't matter anymore. So what are some what sort of final thoughts do we have about Economy Group A before we start scooching on over to Economy Group B so that we can round out our discussion of this tier?
I mean, I'm kind of interested in seeing a little bit more of. I mean, because we didn't really touch on them too much, but like Fifth Spectrum in particular. They had a pretty competitive series week 2 against CLG. They're kind of like, again, from what I understand, they're like an old team that kind of took a break. Not in LBLCS, but they've now come back, are in LBLCS. I think they had a pentakill in their first series, so that's like really dope. Yeah, Snowflake Echo, it was their first series. And so they have a big matchup this upcoming week against NGO. So like I'm pretty excited to see how that one shakes out, because that could be, a pretty big upset as well, like we saw with Sperm Whales over the Legion a couple weeks back.
Absolutely. So seeing that, not new, but new to us team coming in and starting to challenge the undefeated mainstays here. After watching some of the other like big economy mainstays also take a loss to a new team. All good stuff. All good stuff. I'm pretty excited about. Vega or Valentine, any other final thoughts about Economy Group A before we keep it pushing?
Just kind of it a little bit echoes what Les Force was saying. Just curious who that second team is. We see most of the time in groups you have like a team that's on top and then a team that's kind of punching up and challenging. So I'm curious to see who that team is going to emerge to be. And early on Fifth Spectrum is the other technically undefeated team in the group. So I'd be curious to see if they're that team, or if somebody like High Alert turns it around, or FBI, who's a team that looked pretty good in their last win. Somebody like that could turn it around, because there's tons of room to jump in this group. So I am curious about that.
Yeah, and it looks like there's a bunch of teams that have played all 3 of their series. One team that's only played 2, and 2 teams that have only played 1. They probably have a match scheduled on Sunday, since everyone has a match scheduled on Sunday. I'm pretty sure. Do all of us have a match on Sunday?
I do.
I do.
Yeah,
I guess I technically do.
Yeah.
I guess I technically do, because Val has a match. I technically have a match on
Yeah,
Sunday.
true.
No, I think
match on
wait.
Sunday.
No, I think Strawberry and Panther will both play tomorrow.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
Buttermilk plays at 10:30 tonight.
I will hope
10:30. A 10:30
Well,
start?
they're all Central and
Yes,
West
10:30.
Coast. So they're like,
Still,
you're gonna be there
okay.
to draft at 10:30. I'm like, I'm gonna be in my bed.
On a Saturday night?
Look, there he is trying to defend himself in chat. Hey, come on.
Hey, come on. All right, hey, come on over to like a good time zone, and then maybe we can have a conversation. So we'll see what happens with that. They're practically playing next year if they're playing that late.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I think that like, the point to which I was ramping up is that since this is such a big soup group, oh, that's fun to say. We should say that more. Since
Soup
this is
group,
such a
I
big
do.
soup group, right? Where it's like we have like one team pretty clearly on top and then 7 teams sort of contending. that means that like this playoff margin is going to be razor fucking thin, dude. And so
Yeah, very small,
really
yeah.
like basically what that means is that every match matters. So it's going to be really difficult to pick out like matches that are particularly exciting. We can do it. But that might also just mean that anytime that you see an economy group A team getting streamed, you might just want to tune in because it might have some pretty big implications. Valentine, final economy A thoughts before we move on to economy B.
Glad to see that Soima played a game.
We did, even if we are playing with subs now. We are going to play our games, and don't let that be a message to all these teams out there who are like, "Oh, well, we have subs, but we can't schedule. Play with subs. If you got people on your roster that can play the games."
This is true. I agree with the sentiment.
I completely agree. Go play your games. Let's
Go
not
play
talk
your
about the
games.
fact that Highlanders has played one series so far.
We'll get there.
And what?
We'll
and
get
you know
there.
what? Hey,
We'll get there.
I
yeah,
almost
well,
got through this segment without having to defend one game played. I almost did about the very last second. It's like, by the way,
Yeah, no, I wasn't gonna let you get away with it.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, well, at least we won our only series played, so
Yeah.
I don't know what to say.
Mad, play your games.
That's
Schedule
crazy.
your games.
Get nade. Alrighty, moving on over to economy group B here. We've got the standings up on the board along with our tier list as made before anything really happened here. So just sort of off the bat, we've got Kickin' Squids kicking up in the standings, right? We had them in this B tier. We had them in sort of the underdog category. And lo and behold, here they are, right? In this group where
Yeah.
we see a lot of contention, Doggy Bone Goblin Zone, Colorado Keg Killers, 2% Milk, Two Town Gaming, right? A bunch of these like pretty decent teams. Kickin' Squids tops the fucking list. That's pretty cool to see. So tell me about some of your thoughts related to Economy Group B, and just really just the vibes. Just the vibes is fine.
The old guard does not like being doubted at all. It would look like. Seems like Refus and his gaggle of goons have not at all gone anywhere. So I'm really excited to see how this season because usually, right, they're usually the gatekeeper of the 4th seed, the 5th seed. But right now they're in the driver's seat. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to see how that goes.
I'm realizing that like the standing looks a little odd because Two Town Gaming is on there twice. So I don't know what happened between when I screenshot this and when
I don't know if that's the best.
but you can go to the
I don't like
economy
that.
sheet and
Dang.
see Two Town Gaming in 3rd place is correct. The 5th place team is Body Break. So
Which-
just pretend
Body
that
Break,
says Body
okay.
Break.
Which is actually who I was going to bring up because we're talking about the sorry, dying a little bit. We're talking about the kicking squids up on top, but this past week, Body Break, 2 of them in pretty convincing form. Both games having quite the gold lead. Looked like Julia Roberts, big Bugbear Fin's a big fan of Julia Roberts, popping off. So that was again pretty big upset that I don't think we saw coming. And that was their first series win of the season. So Body Break was a team last season that they started out slow and then they really geared up towards the second half. But like by the time they geared up, they were already out of the playoff picture. So I kind of like seeing that, they're maybe starting that push earlier on because they could be a really good team.
Yeah.
Our
can
underdogs
definitely do
are
that.
becoming overdogs here, right? Kicking Squids topping the ladder, and then Body Break, the other underdog team, beating out Kicking Squids, right? Pretty exciting stuff.
I want to defend us slightly because if you go back and watch the episode where we did these ratings, we said, well, if Kickin' Squids could have the form that they had at the end of last split, where they went on that run
did
at the end of the
say this.
season and carried it into this split, that we think that they would be closer to A tier. So not to cop out on our rankings, but we did
It's a
give a
cop-out, but that's
hypothetical.
okay.
We did give a hypothetical, and we're happy to see them popping off, right? We're happy to see them
Exactly.
and yeah, assuming the standings are correct, there's still a lot of games to be played. And now I have no trust in Jack's standings when I look at this thing. Is this real? Are these real stats? Are these real rankings?
Everything is real except the 5th place team is Body Break at 1-1, 2-2 in games.
Okay. There's still a lot of games to be played in this group. And unlike Group A, there's not like a clear like front running team. Like Kick and Squids is at the top, but they have dropped a series, so there obviously is potential for teams to like punch up a little bit there. So I think like this is more of a soup group than the other one, because this is more of a like 2 weeks from now, these standings could be completely different than they are right now.
It's catching on. Soup group. It's a whole new thing.
It is. I gotta mute somebody in Discord. I'm getting spammed.
Yeah, my bad.
I think I just got like 30 messages in 2 minutes.
My fault, gang. So what it seems like is economy, true to the history of the LBLCS, economy is delivering a show, right? When you see those economy games getting streamed, go ahead and tune in. And it looks like we've got a ton of games left to be streamed, considering most of these teams have played one series. So there we go. Schedule your matches. All right. So, what are some other thoughts that we have about Economy Group B? And when we think about it, if we've got two soup groups between A and B, where do we feel like the relative power level is in between those two groups? Just considering sort of the top few teams.
I don't know.
Valentine is just making one
Yes.
like very emphatic shrugging face at me.
It's tough. That is tough.
I don't know.
It's astute. I would probably say like right now A's got to be the strong. Like we just have that clear. Like right now NGO is that clear top dog, and there are other teams in Group A that have looked really good. Or in the case of Legion, like a team that we think should be really good. Whereas Group B is still like pretty uncertain. A lot of teams have only played one series, so it's hard to like say definitively where we stand. So yeah, I would probably say Group A right now is like the little bit more clearer picture, but they're both, like you said, very. They're still very soupy for sure.
Very soupy. So it feels like since NGO has such an exciting thing, I feel like that's a pretty decent segue into talking about our match of the week. So looking ahead to week 4, our match of the week is Fifth Spectrum versus Nefarious Gaming Outlaws, not Omens, Outlaws. Woot woot. So I don't know if that match has been scheduled yet, but if it has, that's great. And if it hasn't, I hope it will be soon. Otherwise, we're gonna look a little bit goofy. So tell me a little bit about what makes NGO versus Fifth Spectrum our match of the week here for economy.
Well,
You
go ahead, Val.
first.
No. Please.
Oh, thank you. So both of these teams have not taken a loss yet. Fifth Spectrum isn't one of the a million bajillion games going on tonight. However, I think still Snowflake Gecko is going to be spearheading a roster that a lot of people are excited to play against, and I think they will be it is going to be a great test of where they are relative to the rest of the group. I think obviously they've only had one game and had a close game against CLG, but I don't know how much that means. If they come in there and they give NG they give Outlaws a great fight, I think that'll be really good. It's going to be Shu versus Gecko. I think that's probably the best matchup you could ask for in the economy mid lane. I was about to say economy mid lane economy and like the atmosphere, the ecosystem.
Ecosystem. There we go. I love it. And the NGO versus Fifth Spectrum match indeed has been scheduled for Monday at 8:30 p.m. So maybe perchance we shall see that happen. I don't know.
Mhm.
All right, cool. And there's a typo in the stream sheet, which I'll fix. So that just about wraps it up for our discussions around economy. Are there any final thoughts that we have before we move on to commercial?
Nothing from me.
I'm good.
Alrighty, I'll consider that safe to move on. Let's take a look at our commercial standings for Group A. So here we have TV Ratlords on top, with the Serenity Bad Boys Club also undefeated along with them. I wonder if they play each other. And then below that, it seems like we've got a bit of a soup group again. I love a good soup group. Can't go wrong with soup. An underrated soup is carrot ginger. So
I barely like either of those flavors, but I'll take your word for it.
Tomato soup. Tomato soup on top, baby.
Yeah, tomato soup.
Can't
on
be a
top,
classic.
I do
Can't be the
agree with
classic.
Tomato soup is great. Tomato soup is definitely great.
I'll say I don't know if I agree with soup group as much because you've got a clear top of the table, a clear middle of the table, and a clear bottom of the table for now, right? You've got 2-0-3 teams in Sentinels versus Mighty Pandas who play each other in week 4.
Whoa.
You've got 3 clear top teams with Serenity Bad Boys Club, High Alert Coven, and TV Rat Lords, and then you've got 3 teams with a win and a loss each, or and maybe one more, right, with Lurkers, but 1-1 for everybody, for the other 2 Loki Boys and Subhuman Resources. So I feel like this is actually a very balanced group rather than a soup.
I agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, so it would be like a soup with layers. I don't know.
It's like it's a sandwich group,
Which is no
if we're gonna be.
longer a soup, right? Yeah. So it's a sandwich group.
Yeah,
We've
It's
definitely
like an
got
open
sandwich
face
group.
sandwich group.
an open face sandwich group. Very good. Very good. I do love a good open face sandwich. A tuna melt.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
We need to get
That
our
sounds
waiter
so
to bring
good right
over a
now.
couple of those. Okay.
Would you eat a Denny's tuna melt?
Actually, that's a
I
really, really
wouldn't
good point.
actually. I wouldn't. I
Would
would
you
not
eat
eat
a
a Denny's tuna
There's like
melt.
some places you shouldn't get fish from, and I feel
Yeah.
like Denny's got to be one of them.
I'm not big on getting
Denny's
fish from
gas
places that
stations
aren't
are,
like
like,
fish
probably one of the-
places.
So not to spin this tangent even further, but I flew to Thailand like a couple of months ago, and on Korean Air they served us like it was like tuna tartare basically, and I was sitting there and
No.
there was
on
like
a
salmon.
plane,
No, it was salmon. There was like fucking like salmon, dude, and I was just fucking housing
like
off this
salmonella.
shit. I was housing, but it was Korean Air, so I was like, yeah, fuck it. I guess they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And then I was like eating all of this, and I was thinking to myself, if somebody served me salmon on Spirit Airlines, I would get
No
put
shot.
on a no-fly list for
Yeah,
my
no shot,
actions. Like it would be bad.
No shot. Yeah, maybe Korean Air. I would be like, okay, well, they're probably serving this all the time.
Yeah, like I just trust that like Korean Air, and I didn't die, so like I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it's really
Yeah,
I have
latent.
another.
Even
have
if
another
like Delta,
tangent.
I would feel like that.
Yeah, I don't
Okay,
think there's
actually-
any other like airline where I'd be like, oh yeah, this is chill. I was also really hungry.
I have a tangent that will link in to being relevant.
Oh, awesome! Please take it.
You
Those are my
will have to
favorite.
stay.
Those are my
you
favorite.
will have to stay with me though.
Okay,
like
we're
that
sad.
is
Oh,
the
boy.
most
All right, we're sad.
Okay, so there, I don't remember what airline it was, but an airline served salads with 2 olives. And one year they decide we're gonna take out. They say they saw on a lot of the empty plates that people would leave their olives. They wouldn't eat their olives, so they started taking out. They took out 1 olive when they made it. They saved 40K in a year by just removing 1 olive because nobody noticed. And I think that is what we're looking at with kind of what we're looking at with High Alert Coven, because it feels like this team, Moomoo's, I don't know if it's still Moomoo's, is such an integral part of kind of the core of what was Monkey's Revenge slash I think Homo
Homo
Sapien.
sapiens.
Yeah, and now is High Alert Coven. I feel like that is exactly kind of the role they play. Consistent over so many seasons as the maybe not the captain of this roster, but as the figurehead, as like I feel like the most recognizable member. And I think that is going to be part why I think they're so I'm sorry. I just said a kind of funny message. But I think that is part of why they are where they are.
Yeah,
Yeah, I see,
I mean, I'm a little bit struggling to understand exactly how we got from the olives to High Alert Coven, but you want to know what? I'm fucking here for it. Like that's like, you know what? Why not transition from olives to High Alert Coven? There's an OV in there. It's just good.
Yeah.
So anyway, Les Force, I think I interrupted you.
No, that's all right. I don't have a food related story to tie this in.
Oh
There's
well,
a lot
I'll
of
just
chat.
move us on then.
Oh
Oh,
well, maybe
that's
like
crazy.
we could like talk real quick about these top dogs in the group.
Mhm.
Some players from the TV Rat Lords saying they're on top. And they have looked really good. 6-0, pretty convincing series. They took down Subhuman Resources, they took down Lurkers, and they took down Mighty Pandas. But big elephant in the room. They gotta win against the people on top of the group, and they have the chance to do that
Mhm.
this week against the Bad Boys Club, who have been around for a while and they're off to a hot start this season. So,
Mhm.
to chase BB and company, you gotta kind of walk the walk this week. You're saying you're on top of the group, and like this is your chance to prove it. That should be
Yep.
a really exciting matchup whenever it gets scheduled. I don't think it's official yet.
I don't think it's on the schedule yet. Unless it's one of the matches that hasn't been put on the stream sheet yet. Um, so which, by the way, if you don't post your match, it won't go on the stream sheet, and that's a guaranteed not getting streamed thing. Um, and then I guess you could just complain about it relentlessly for reasons passing understanding. But you know what? Different folks. So for commercial group A, it seems like we've got this delicious open face sandwich, and the top, the cream of the creme de la creme. Maybe it's like we're topping this sandwich with brie or something like that. Oh, really nice, or Gruyere. That's the fucking cheese, dude.
Or for Munda.
Or yes, like just like come on, man. Um, yeah, this really gets my white boy just really going. So we've got the Rat Lords versus Serenity Bad Boys Club. That sounds like it's going to be a bit of a banger. It's crazy. I mean, if it sounds like the week, like that's the match this week. I don't know. Maybe it might be the match of the week. Who's to say? No spoilers. What are some other things that we need to talk about regarding Commercial Group A before we move on to Commercial Group B? Go ahead, Vega.
I would just say, unlike the two groups we looked at in economy, this is a group where if you're a team in the middle of the bottom of this group, you start to get a little bit of anxiety. Like it is a little bit starting to form 3 of the 4 slots at the top where you've got 3 teams that look very good. And picking up wins now is very important in a group like this. Whereas in the other ones you saw, like second place team had 1 win, something like that. This is a group where you're like, okay, wins are going to matter a lot because there are very good teams that potentially are going to be playing later in the season, and getting more like wins early in the season are going to matter a lot. So this, I'm going to call it the anxiety group, because realistically, LPP boys currently would be in that 4th place slot with Subhuman Resources kind of tied in there. And they're 1 win, and right above that are teams that have already nabbed 2 to 3 wins. So yeah, I really want to point that out for people viewing this group, is that this is a good example of a group that early on in the season has a very clear divide, it looks like. So for these teams under that divide, it's very important that you start hitting your stride at this point in the season.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. Like when you're sort of like a little bit below that playoff line, or maybe a little farther below it, you're really looking at like, oh, we've got to really like win our series in order to start punching into the playoff contention spots here. And Happy Death, yes, I did see the new Thresh skin. As a big Thresh guy myself, I'm super excited for it. I think it's really well done, and I cannot believe that I'm going to be spending more money on League of Legends.
Yep.
Anyway, I think we've dabbled on with commercial A for long enough. So let's take a look up. Let's progress into the alphabet and take a look at commercial group B. The standings are on the board along with our tier list from the beginning of the season. Big Pharma going crazy. High Alert Henchman
Big Mama.
going crazy, right?
Mhm.
So tell me a little bit about commercial group B and everything that we need to know. Or don't.
I mean, on top, I mean, like High Alert, no surprises, right? I mean, they've only played 2 series so far, but like they've come out as strong as we thought they were going to. It's the same roster from last season. Meta still suits their game. They're finding their groove. That boy Truth playing 2 games of Vayne top disappoints me a little bit, but you got to do what you got to do. But Big Pharma definitely like surprising so far. Not in the sense that like I didn't think they were going to be good, but just the fact that they're like coming out so strong against teams that, like, especially like this weekend's Taco Bell McNuggets, who were a really good team last season, and they kind of did really well against them. So it's just like at this point, Big Pharma got to be one of those teams on the radar, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so it seems like the Taco Bell McNuggets are sort of struggling to hit the stride that maybe we expected them to,
Mm-hmm.
and have faced some pretty breakout teams here as well.
Yeah, and as we know, Taco
Mhm.
Bell does not age well, so it's high time for them to start picking up some wins, and trying to get back into that mix.
That's a great point. Have you ever eaten Taco Bell the next day?
No,
It's a miserable experience.
Taco Bell's dead to me at midnight. If I ordered it pre-midnight, post, it's gone.
No, you need to
Like
order
that.
Taco Bell post midnight, dude. It's like
Well, then it's fine. Then it's in the next
okay,
day.
okay.
It's in the next calendar day.
I'm not sure that holds up.
You can't wake up and go eat Taco Bell you ordered the night before, man. That's like
That's low.
best way to explain this is like it exists in the reality that drunk you ordered it, and once you are no longer that person, it's in a different reality, man. That the Taco Bell you see is sober you is not the Taco Bell that drunk you wanted.
It's like you ever swiped on Tinder while you're like drunk late at night? It's the same thing, I promise. Anyway,
Yeah, like 10 years ago, Jack.
Yeah, I was gonna say Vegas.
Yeah,
Vegas
10 years ago. Like,
has been.
I mean,
happening
I haven't done it
for months.
recently either. I'm just like
Definitely-
it's the phenomenon,
phenomenon.
It's the feminine.
A feminine phenomenon.
Thank you, Happy Pep.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I know what you
All
mean.
right.
I was going to take that joke one place further, but I feel like we should just leave it there.
No, go ahead. No, be
No,
my guest.
not on this podcast.
Oh,
maybe
sure.
after,
Oh, sure.
after dark
The
version.
after show. That's crazy.
The after show. But yeah, another point is like some of the standings can be a little bit misleading as far as like power ranking. I think for the teams, like Backflip is a great example of a team who is 1-1, but their wins and losses are very quality wins and losses, right? Like they lose to Hyler, but then they pick up a win against Avalanche, so it was very convincing. So it's like, oh, okay, well they played two of the teams that are in the top of the standings, and their 1-1 necessarily is not, meaning that they're a team that's in the middle of the pack. I still think that's a team who, you expect to be towards the top. But, Big Pharma being as good as they've been, and you can look on our rankings on the side. We had a lot of teams in SNA in this group, so it was kind of hard to read who was going to punch out. But Big Pharma being 3-0, 6-1 in games, that's, like we said in the last group, shrinks that playoff picture, right? That fourth seed becomes ever more important. Because now, like Hyler, TVA, Big Pharma, all off to hot starts. Even Backflip is not going to be an easy opponent for anybody. So, for CLG, Detroit versus everybody, Taco Bell Nuggets, and Midwest Scrubs, it's so important now that you're like every single match for the rest of the season is going to be the Super Bowl for you. Trying to get your way into that playoff spot.
Yes, and I completely agree. And Silver Spade 11 sort of bring up a really good point, which is that Big Pharma is undefeated versus a bunch of teams that are not any of the top four, right? They're like, they have yet to play High Alert, Avalanche, Backflip, right? They have to go against all of these like big boy teams, and it's really going to be the like, can they carry the momentum that they've built up over the course of being undefeated across they've only dropped one game across 3 series, and can that help them punch up above their weight class, or are we looking at are they going to falter a little bit more once they start meeting some of that competition?
Yeah. I think and also an interesting thing is that Backflip's 2 games so far have been Henchman and Avalanche, a 2-0 loss versus Henchman, a 2-0 win over Avalanche. So I think their game, whenever it does happen against Pharma, is going to give us a really good idea of where they're at as a team.
I do think also it is important to point out that, like, yes, Big Pharma has only played against some of the teams that are in the lower side of the standings right now. But it's so important to pick those wins up, right?
Yep.
That's like beating the teams you, I'm air quoting, should beat is so important because, like you said, the back half of their schedule is going to be so tough that being strong now, building that confidence, building that synergy over the first half of the season is so important. So when you're not in that stress of being, 2-2 going into, the hunt for that last playoff spot or something. If you start the season 3-0, 4-0, you give yourself more time to like, hey, we can experiment, we can grow as a team. We're not under this massive stress. And we've seen before, sometimes 4 wins is enough to make playoffs. A 4-3 record, a lot of times, will get you a 4th seed into playoffs. So start 3-0, that's great.
Yep.
Yeah. Actually,
go ahead, Dale.
This is interesting because I think the standings are deceiving in commercial because it just clicked to me. Commercial's a 3-team, it's a 16-team playoff. So it's it's top 5 in each group.
Oh, somebody
That
needs to
makes
move the
now
line.
that line needs to be moved, but I think the points generally do stand though, right? But it does.
No,
It's
I change
more
everything I
hope to
said.
the. Okay. Well, I mean, if you want,
Way to flake.
Actually, never mind. Disregard it all.
Like, but yeah, I think most of the points still stand though, right? But it just gives more credit to the teams it gives more space to the teams who are like, oh, maybe had a tough start to the season, 0-2, to kind of try and bounce back to get back into that groove and get back into the playoffs.
And if it's 3 teams of 5 or 3 sets of 5 that make it, there is a 16th seed that's like an at-large bid,
Yeah.
right? That's
Yep.
important too, because if you're a team that just has a solid record on a bubble, like Group A, for example, where we're like, wow, there's some really good teams at the top. Well, Group B really too. Being even just the best team on the outside of that bubble can still earn you a playoff spot. So there's no reason for if you had a slow start not to push through to the end. Even if you have bad tiebreakers, you could potentially be that 16th team.
The wild card slot.
That's exactly.
Very
Yeah.
exciting.
The wild card slot has done some fun things in the history of the LBLCS. Shout out
That
to
is
the
true.
Respect.
Shout out to Rev Up. Les Force,
Yeah.
what are some of your thoughts on Commercial Group B before we keep it moving on over to Com C?
I mean, I just feel like the one team we haven't talked about too much, DVE, Detroit versus everybody. I would say I would be tuning into their match tonight, but I also have a match at the same time. So I'll be curious to see what the post game results for DVE versus Backflip are, because we have seen Detroit versus everybody be a really good team in commercial the past couple seasons, and their one series loss was a 1-2. So I'm curious to see basically them get back in the groove of things. They've been a really fun team to watch, so I'm just curious to see what they got cooking up the rest of the season. But yeah, really tough group.
You have a match tonight?
No, tomorrow night. I was looking at the schedule sheet. Did I say tonight? I meant tomorrow night.
Yep. Oops. Well, I was just making
Oh
sure
well.
that we had everything
Well,
right on
bad
the
comms. Yeah.
bad comms. So I think that one thing that's sort of becoming clear is that commercial feels a little bit more sort of segmented, whereas economy was much more homogenous between the teams, right?
Yeah.
Soupy, one might say. And so it's starting to look like super exciting. Let's go ahead and see if that trend continues once we start looking at Commercial Group C. And right off the bat, it looks like things are staying the same. So talk to me. No, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say because this is interesting because no team has played 3 games yet.
Nope,
in
dogs have.
Group C.
Naughty Dogs have.
Oh, other than the dogs, right? Aside from the dogs
And the
at
Outlaws.
1, I think this.
Somehow Louisiana Tech.
Okay, they
Wait,
played
we have
half,
2 Outlaws.
Yeah, hold on now.
Why are you doing a Southern accent? This talent.
That's where I'm from. What do you mean?
True, I forget. Like you're like in
What do you
my
mean,
head,
man?
you're a New Yorker, man.
That's how I talk. What do you mean? I
In
don't
my head,
understand
you are a New Yorker.
How
through
can
and
there be
through.
2 OE Outlaws? One in economy, one in commercial.
I hope there's one in financial and executive.
Also, hold on. How is it possible that Naughty Dogs has played 3 series, OE Outlaws has played 3 series, and Louisiana Tech's played 3 series? That's 3 teams. Who was the 4th team that played?
Well, one team has only played 1 series. No. One team has only played 1 series.
Oh, that do
so
it.
they
That do it.
played.
Yeah. Oh, my
I'm
point
saying,
was going
like
to
that
be.
made sense to me, but it did not click in my head.
I think the tricky thing with this group is that you have to own 2 teams at the bottom. You have a 1-0 team in 3rd at the moment. So there's not even a team that like 1 win puts both of those teams at the bottom right at like the 4th seed level, right? And 1 loss, conversely, from Geezers from One Tail would put them right in the mix, right back into the 4th, 5th place mix. So I think that it is a deceivingly soup group.
Yeah. So here's how Panther Milk Lifestyle can still make playoffs in
Let's
Commercial
go,
Group C.
baby!
It's
Wow, this is
2
it.
games.
Let's win for playoffs,
Jesus.
baby!
Yeah, you're totally right. We've got a lot of season left to play. But you know what? If we're not overreacting, are we even providing good content? I don't even know.
Nope.
So anyway, go ahead.
I'll just jump out and say it. Naughty Dogs look sick.
Yeah,
They do look
yeah.
sick.
Okay, not only do they look really good, their games are fun to watch. It is.
Yeah.
I got to cast Naughty Dogs this past week, and me and LaChance were cracking up at watching Luffy like force an engage on an AD carry who's flashing away, and then it's like they don't know this, but we know that there's not another member of Luffy's team within 2 screens of this engage.
That's Luffy though.
I just
That's a
love
Luffy.
that
That's a Luffy
team.
play.
I know. I'm just like, he's gonna do it. Like, I just love that team. I think they're super fun, and the fact that they're doing well is awesome because they are a lot of likable people, you know, in the LBLCS community, and they are true to their style. You know what you're getting when you tune in for a Naughty Dogs game.
You really are.
Yeah,
It's like
Luffy in the chat
fighting
saying
back and
having
forth.
help is cringe. I couldn't agree more, my friend.
Oh yeah, it's different. He's like a jungler with like thousands of gold and items. You're a support with like 500 and 2
Yeah.
pennies.
Okay.
It's different.
They're soloing people.
I don't know.
Feels
I don't know
weird.
how
Yeah.
that became
Did you
necessary.
see? I just a weird segue. Did we see the new LBLCS site? And just so happens it has a Jackie Boy highlight on it.
The
It's pretty
Jackie
cool.
Boy highlight. You say it like there's more
yeah.
than one.
Well, I
I've
don't
seen
know.
a couple. You've got I was like, you've got highlights,
I
man.
saw you
Don't-
do
don't
that
sell
sick
your
low
engage.
lights.
I saw just like
That's
2
a
weeks
low
ago. Like 2 weeks ago, you did that sick engage on those guys coming out of the like Hextech portal. That play was
Oh.
awesome.
Go fuck yourself. That shit was so fucking not gamer.
But the confidence in it was really inspired me. I'm like, look how confident he is in this play.
I mean, you know what? It's I was borrowing from the Luffy school of engage. I was like, hey, I've got my tank top with me. I'm surely we can 2v4. A lot
Dangerous
of
place to
lowlights.
try.
No need to highlight that, Bear.
You know what they say? Scared money don't make money.
That's a good point.
Exactly. That is the point.
This money ain't never scared. I'm gonna tell you what.
That's right. Me looking at my 100 Schmeckle balance on the low budget Twitch.
Whoops. Anyway, so what it seems to be is we've got the Naughty Dogs on top, woof woof, and we've got sort of a sleeper soup group, a slooper, if you will.
We can just say super.
Well,
There's a little bit of canned Campbell's in this group. You know, it's kind of cooled off a little bit, but it's still good. It could be good. You know, it could heat up real fast.
We can
You
heat
put
this
that
up.
metal in a microwave. Put that metal
Yeah,
can
it
in a
does.
microwave. It's gonna heat up real
it's
fast.
gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
Up real fast. It's nuts.
So what are some of the final thoughts that we have
Lots of
about Commercial
sparks to
Group
come.
C before we cross the event horizon over into Financial Group A?
Play your games, guys.
Yeah, play your
Play your
games.
Play your games.
Who would
we want
only
to form
have
opinions.
one series played? That's crazy.
You.
Whatever.
Kind of set yourself up.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I do that a lot, don't I? As we start to look into the financial league, we've got the standings for Financial A plus our tier list on the board. Tell me a little bit. Wow, this looks really similar to Com C, no? Like this, like the layout here of like the teams and their records looks really similar to Com C. So tell me a little bit about this group.
We don't know what we're talking about Group A. Let's just go ahead and say that early on. Our
I
ratings were a little
forgot
bit.
something. I
What?
forgot to do our match of the week for commercial because
I
I
was
spent
gonna-
so much time
Yeah.
hyping it up when we were talking about it and like
Yeah.
leaking it.
Do
and
it
then-
now. Do it now before I make this point.
Anyway,
Yep.
so before Vega makes what I'm certain is a at least okay take. Our commercial week 4
Okay.
match of the week. I don't know. There was no reason to do that to you.
Yo,
Our commercial match of
Panther
the
milk
week
of takes.
for LBLCS Season 13, Week 4 is Serenity Bad Boys Club versus Team Volatility Rat Lords. It's a couple of undefeated teams right back from Group A. Thank you for the applause. And we're excited to see what ends up happening. This is the make or break moment for both of these teams to really take full sole control over this group. And back to financial. Vega, you were in the middle of a really good point.
I was just gonna say that if you look at the standings right now versus what we predict, I'm not saying that we're gonna be completely wrong, But I think this group, of all the groups we talked about so far, is the most hype because it is so against what the preconceived notion of what this group was going to be. Now, I know there's like matchups, certain teams played certain teams, and early season standings, but like Secret Lair, we had them in A, technically kind of on the bottom end. 3-0, Big Dig Summer, we had them in B tier. They're up there undefeated right now. Wheeze and Sons is up there looking good. Monkeys 1-1, NLR at 1-2. I don't think any of us thought that was going to happen. Actually, shout out Les Force. Les Force was maybe the one person who was like, I'm not bought in completely at the beginning of the season. But yeah, just like this group is sick. And now it sets up this great like storyline for the season of like preseason expectations versus like current performance, where every match from now on you'd be like, oh, can this team that is surprising us continue their run? Or can this team that in the preseason we thought was going to be like a really big dog turn it around off an early season start and get back to where we thought they would be? So I think this group is sick. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, like just the fact that like this like where we predicted teams to be and where they ended up being are so different. I mean, it doesn't just shock us, like this shocks the world even. And so I'm super stoked about how this is playing out. Again, we love to be wrong. And we love to start seeing things happen that are really great. So I first of all, Wheeze and Sons, we up. Yeah, I ran for those guys from our preseason moment, and they're making me proud. So respect on over to those guys over there. But let's see here. What are some other sort of neat things that we can talk about regarding Financial Group A before we cruise through this alphabet?
In chat, it sounds like T Secret Lair and Big Dig might be playing this week. So that should be a really exciting matchup if that actually comes to fruition this week. Team Secret Lair have definitely looked really, really good. So that I don't know if it's on paper yet, so I don't know if we can call that a match of the week candidate, but certainly that should be a really good matchup. NLR, Vega mentioning it. They seem to like right the ship a bit last week. They kind of recognized like some of the faults they were having the first couple weeks. Kind of discuss how to go about draft, and it seemed like they were like much more on the same page this past week against Naughty question mark. So they could look to bounce back for sure. It's still early in the season. You just have to make top 4. And I don't doubt that they have the pieces like to make that push, but they are gonna have to. Actually, I think they might have played both. Did they play both Team Secret Lair and? I think they did.
I have no idea.
Yes. So they played the 2 toughest teams in their losses. So from this point, like in theory, it's in their control to bounce back.
And bounce back they might. We shall see what ends up happening. I think I remember us talking a little bit about how, when you're sort of in that one down position, it's really important to like stick together as a team and sort of like have that cohesion and gelling happen so that we could keep moving forward with growth mindset. No fixed mindsets, guys. I will call it out. No fixed mindset. I will call it the fuck out, especially not in League General. That's crazy. So it seems like what we've got on our hands is just a great group.
Yeah.
I love.
I would jump us to say there are no easy matchups in this group. That almost every team you could make an argument of like, I can see a path to them like being an extremely dangerous team. So shout out to Team Secret Lair kicking off 3-0. That means a lot. We talked about it a little bit in commercial before Val nuked my point by mentioning that there's 5 teams in playoffs, but I'm pretty sure that in financial, there are 4 teams make it in. Yeah, so same point kind of carries over. Like, it's really important to get those early wins on the board to kind of give yourself breathing room, and that's awesome. And then if they're able to beat Big Dig Summer and start 4-0, that would be massive. I mean, especially since, I had Secret Lair kind of on my radar as like a team that could punch up, but I did not think that they would be as good looking as they've looked. And shout out to them because that's awesome.
Yep, you gotta love it when we're wrong.
Gotta love it when we're wrong. All right, let's see if we're wrong in any other place on the alphabet here as we pull up the standings from Financial Group B. Damn, there's a team there that's only played one series. Actually, a bunch of teams that have only played one series.
There's 4.
There's 4.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Unlucky, is what I'll say. So we'll see what ends up happening with that.
Wait, Jack, you played one game?
We played 3 games. We played 1 series.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
I just want to go on record. I hear this guy gave me so much shit last time we were on the show. It's been 2 weeks since we talked to each other. He's played 0 games since he last talked to me.
Well, you see, we've got a match on Sunday.
I played 0
does
games
everyone
since I
else.
last talked to you also.
Which, yeah.
but-
Yeah, so does everyone else, by the
So does
way.
everyone else.
Yeah.
Everybody in this, you're not special. Everybody else in this call.
Yeah,
Look, we'll get our match versus Omega in soon. Okay, we just have to figure it out.
Are you guys old enough to remember that, like, actually, never mind. That's probably something strict to where I was from. There was like an Omega sports place that had this ad on TV.
Yeah,
And this guy would come on and he would scream, Omega! And every time I see their name, it's all I can think about.
I'm not familiar. I'm just too much of an alpha to understand, I think.
I don't think anyone's ever said those 2 words in the same sentence with you, Jack.
Everyone's so mean to me all the time.
You were just mean to me. Like
I've never
5
been mean
minutes
to
ago.
anyone in my life.
You were just
Well-
mean to me 5 minutes ago.
Oh, hold on.
God damn it, I'm getting
For you-
buzzard.
for that stick. Yeah, you sure are getting buzzard, man. I'm glad you knew.
Wait a minute.
Okay, listen.
Okay.
I think
There's no way. Well, go ahead. Make your point then.
I don't even know what I was gonna say. Livewire's a great team, #1 team in financial. That's my point. They got the most handsome players. They got the best jungler. They got the most swag. People still say that. Yeah,
don't know.
that's my point.
I
People
mean,
need to play games in this group. I don't know.
Yeah, people need to play games in this group.
People need to play
Well, the
games.
Livewires have done their part.
Yeah,
The live guys have done their part.
not
Yeah.
only are they handsome, talented, crazy good, they've also played games.
There are 1, 2. There are like 3 financial B matches happening on Sunday.
Dude, what has happened this season? Why is everyone
Everyone is
playing,
playing
on
on
Sundays?
Sunday. It's just like it didn't used to be like this, right? Like
I thought it would be
Am I
different because
going
like
crazy?
school hasn't technically started in a lot of places. I thought it
Yeah.
would be more flexible, but I guess like now everybody's just like that's the one day.
that's crazy.
I guess summer people go out on like Friday and Saturday, so
Yeah.
Sunday's the day you're
I
like
mean,
kind of
who
home.
would do
and,
that?
Yeah.
No $4 marks here. Only.
Wink, wink.
Oh, wait, chat is saying that the 5 Musketeers have played 2 series, so that could change things. Just a lack of an update there.
Have they?
Oh yeah, they played.
Yeah.
For some
they did.
reason, they didn't get credit for the naughty loss because they lost to Omega 2-1 and then they lost to Naughty last week.
All right, somebody needs
So-
to send a message to somebody with more power than me about that one. So yeah, there we go. Because I'm seeing what you're saying on that.
You picking up what he's putting down?
I'm picking up. What
I'll
he's putting
fix it in
down.
real time.
Oh wow. Well, unfortunately, that won't show up on the stream because I
No.
took screenshots.
But not anyone looking at the sheet now it's fixed.
It's fixed. All right, we love a fixer.
Okay, hold on. A minute. Okay, thank you.
No,
Alright.
Nothing changed, by the way. It's still the same.
Got it.
Exact same.
I'm like,
Wondering,
this-
but
I was looking like nothing looks different to me here.
Well, anyway, so what it seems like is this group just needs more games played. No, I think TDS is the only team that has played all 3 of their series.
we love TDS.
We love TDS.
Shout out
in the house.
TDS.
Shout out Duel.
They are looking really good.
Yeah, they are.
Duolingo Owl has done psychological damage to my team. So
Psychological damage. Hilarious.
I'm not joking. Like we see him in our sleep. Just the Black Frost Alisar, just like in our kitchens. It's like FNAF, dude.
Dude. Any more Zoomer references you want to throw out before we get to the next point?
Nah, I'd like to think that I'm just like an eclectic guy. Like I can just
Every
can
time I
pull out
log-
references on anything.
Every time I log into Roblox, I see Duolingo.
You log into Roblox?
I play Dress to Impress. I'm
blocked
not
it?
ashamed.
You
I'm on
blocked?
DTI, dude. Let me tell you, I'm on the podium every time.
I need to start like learning more about Roblox because I swear to God, every single client I have plays Roblox.
If Roblox had existed when I was a kid, it would have been a problem.
No further.
I was a big
no further
Team Fortress 2
explanation?
guy.
You could do anything. It's like I played like Gary's Mod in
Oh,
like
yeah,
high
yeah.
school,
That
and
was
that was like the
OG.
beginning. But like, there's everything on Roblox. I played an F1 game the other day because my daughter was like showing me stuff, and my wheel works with it. Like my sim rig setup works with it, and I'm like, why
That's
is
so
this?
cool.
Why is it designed like this? Like, who is making this?
Oh, wait, shit. My mom offloaded a bunch of shit from my bedroom on me, and I have a fucking sim wheel for whatever reason. So I gotta fucking set that shit up.
When we gonna start playing, Jack?
What do you? I played Dirt 4 or Dirt. Yeah,
I'll
Dirt.
play that.
Yeah,
I'll play
Dirt 4.
anything.
Okay, cool.
I did iRacing for a little while, but
All right, all right.
I didn't want to pay for a subscription.
We'll lab. We'll lab
Okay.
this one up. Anyway, so it seems like just what we have is a group that needs to play more games, but a group that is shaping up to be pretty
Mhm.
exciting. No bias here, of course.
Mhm.
So I'm excited to see what ends up happening with Financial Group B. Any final thoughts on this group before we push it on over to Financial Group C? Go ahead, Vega.
I'm gonna make a weird statement or a wild statement. No one needs to comment on it.
No
Not
one's
say
done
anything.
that here before.
I think the ceiling for this group is the highest of any of the 4 financial groups.
Ooh.
Like most teams in the top
If
8.
the teams, yeah, I think if teams in here hit their stride at the right time around playoffs, this group has the most potential to send the most good teams into like playoffs. Like the 4th seed in this group could very well be a very, very good team.
So this is going to be like
With-
the playoff nightmares.
Yeah. The curious thing, especially the fun thing about 16 team brackets, is that there's a scenario, if I'm remembering correctly, there's a scenario in which we see we could get a top 4 that's all Group B teams.
That is true.
Yeah,
That is
it is.
true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it can shake
The
out that way.
So, if that happens, that group will get bragging rights for a very,
Forever, dude.
very, very long time.
All right. All right. So
Yeah.
we now Financial B, we've all agreed on it. We all have to make it so that it's BVB semis and BVB semis on the other side of the bracket. So that
It'd be
bracket
insane.
starts with a
It'd be
B, and
very
by
insane.
God, Financial B is gonna run it. So we'll see what happens.
B for by
Yeah.
God.
B for That's exactly what I was gonna say. Alrighty, so I'm gonna push us on over to Financial Group C just right now. So we've got the standings up on the board along with the tier list that we made all those silly weeks ago. So tell me a little bit about what we're expecting from this group here. It seems like we've got some teams that are definitely on top here. Represent woot woot. And then we've got the Gurkst crew, Gurksenum, as they were. And we've got some other teams as well. So tell me a little bit about this group. What are some of the big key takeaways that folks looking to get caught up might want to know?
We've returned to soup. We've
Back
got
to soup, where we belong.
back to soup. At the top of the table, you got volatility, which feels like the proper outcome for such a star-studded roster.
Yep.
You've also got Buttermilk Lifestyle. They were rolling at the end of last season. I've unfortunately met a buzzsaw in the playoffs. They've come into this season.
Who did we
Steaming
meet?
hot.
Youngster Joey.
Youngster Joey. Team
Knocked
Volatility,
Buttermilk out of
right?
playoffs, yeah.
That's
Exactly.
crazy.
So, and I think those two teams at the top is what everybody's got eyes on. But look under that. AFC is a team notorious, no matter how good or bad they do in the regular season. If they get to playoffs, you must respect Vexrack. You must respect Arcadius. That team, Shady Gecko too, I believe. I don't actually remember if he's struggling for them. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Timber Token. Yeah. Shady Gecko too, like the core of that roster that continues to terrorize Financial. They are difficult to dodge and kind of get rid of, so I wouldn't be surprised if they come through. And even if they lay low towards that 4th, 5th seed through most of the season, and then they just rise like a phoenix come playoffs, they could be a dangerous 4th seed. Past that, Girk's crew has looked super awesome, and it feels like Plunderers, Gentlemen, Dynasty Stray, all of them have the ability to jump straight into the playoff picture because no one aside from those top two teams has shown in their games to maybe be a step above.
So it seems like if Financial B is the financial killers, Financial C sounds like the Group B killers. These really dangerous teams here. Less Force, do you have any thoughts on anything Valentine said?
Yeah, I do. So I think like everything Val is saying is correct. Like if you get a spot in the playoffs, like KFC, we've seen time and time again they made finals. Like I think maybe like more than 5 times all time. Like they are so good, but I don't think like I'm not saying that they're like kind of cruising like senioritis, like oh we'll just get to playoffs, but like they lost to TV, so that's their only loss. But they just have to keep in mind that like this group looks really really tough, and like I don't think they can. Like I'm not saying they're coasting, but like you can't afford to really fall too far behind because like team volatility looks so good. Buttermilk, we've seen them look so good. Girk's crew, they looked really strong in their first series of the season. And even teams like the Gentlemen, Dynasty Stray, Old Man Land that we haven't seen a ton of, like OML, they even look competitive against KFC, their week 1 matchup. So it's just like you have to get like put yourself in a spot to make playoffs. Like don't just like depend on getting there, right? Because there's a lot of good teams in this group for sure.
Absolutely. So I think a little bit of what I'm hearing from you is that like there needs to be, like teams need to kind of step up a bit more than perhaps they're predicting in order to really lock the slots in the playoffs. Because again, it's just top 4, right? Like, and as we've seen time and time again, the difference between 4th seed and 5th seed is usually 1 win, right? And so like all of those wins end up counting so much.
Yep.
What
I think also shout out to Volatility who last night played, and I believe that series was right around an hour long, or under.
Yeah.
They look really good. That was a team I think when we rated them A in the beginning. I think some of the points were like, well, if like the members can click together, this is what we think it could be. Well, they're clicking. That team looks really good. That team looks in like multiple week playing together form. And they're super scary. And yeah, I think even if TFC's loss to Volatility was with subs, I think you could kind of see it wasn't just like map play. Like Volatility looks good in lane. Like they look like hands good against other teams. I do think, and I'm trying to discern my bias from this as hard as possible. I do think the week 4 matchup between Buttermilk and Volatility is going to tell us a lot about this group of like how high above Volatility is in the group, or if there's like realistic competition. But yeah, like right now, below those two, there is like room for teams to get in. If you are a team like TFC, just kind of like Les was saying, you can't take off in this group because there's a lot of teams within 1 win of catching you right now. That you stumble one more time, you're 1-2. It kind of gets messy in this group. And at the top also, same things. Like I think especially for Buttermilk, they haven't really played any of the teams we rated at the high end yet. So, you want to snag those early season wins before you play the TFC, the Volatility, those teams like that. So I don't know. This group in my mind is a little bit top heavy, but I think my learnings from since our preseason rankings would be I would have swapped TFC with Volatility and having Buttermilk and Volatility kind of the S tier in this group, and then the soup below that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super excited. It's definitely going to be one of those, again, like a very exciting thing. Sort of like continuing that storyline a little bit more. So that matchup is going to be pretty freaking dope.
The only bad thing is, yeah, it's not less force. The milk rivalry versus Volatility is massive. A lot of people say high alert milk, but it's really Volatility milk. That's the real rivalry.
Nerds.
I mean, it should be really interesting. I think Buttermilk is super good. I don't think it's like kind of the way you phrased it was like, are Volatility the clear number 1, or is Milk can be able to hang? Like I feel like it's more like they're kind of even despite the record.
I'm trying to play down.
You're trying to humble yourself, right? And I'm like trying to bring you back up. And I'll humble the TV players a little bit. Yeah, I think whoever wins this match like should be the clear I don't want to say top dog in all of financial, but like definitely
They're gonna
top
be a
dog in
contender.
Group C.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think they're going to be a contender regardless.
These
I
guys
think
are
both
just
of these
glazing
teams are
each
going to
other.
be. I think both these teams will be clear. I mean, this. I could jinx both these teams right now, but I think they're both clearly going to be playoff teams. I think when you just watch like the team play from those two teams, they do play more cohesive than other teams around them. But it's always tough because you get into these situations where like you're in almost like an ecosystem of your own group. And scrims are such a hard read also because it's like, well, teams are trying things or they're, they don't play like they do on stage. And then we get to playoffs and you're like, oh, actually, this one group actually was just better. They just didn't look like it because they're all playing each other. So it is really tough to like, I made that statement about Group E, but it is really hard to read. Like, it's the same as if you watch like professional league where you're like, man, this Korean 4 seed looks like crap. It's like, yeah, because they're playing against Korean first, second, and third seeds. Where it's hard to like get a good read. So even though in my head I think both those teams look really good, we won't know until playoffs.
Well, playoffs are really only right around the corner, and I'm super stoked to see who ends up being there. And so let's take a look at the potential teams that will be occupying those other remaining 4 slots for the financial playoffs. We're looking at financial Group D, where we've got a little bit of excitement, and a lot of our predictions are ending up pretty okay. So let's talk a little bit about this group. Everyone's played at least 2 series, so that's nice to see. Could never be me.
I think it's
And
the only
so
group
I think it's the only group.
with that. Yeah,
Crazy.
with 2 games played on everybody. Shout out to Financial D.
So these are
Whoa, Financial D, let's go.
they call it financial D because it's in D calendar. Anyway, so I don't know, just like let's
Get D games scheduled.
get D games scheduled. So as we move on from D tier puns, let's talk a little bit about this group and the standings. So tell me a little bit about what the standings mean for sort of this group and these teams here, but also like let's start to bleed a little bit of that conversation into talking about playoffs like we have with the other groups so far. So who would like to take the first point on financial group D?
Team Chaos is once again Team Chaos is going to be, I think Praetorians specifically is going to put like Team Chaos on like a poster somewhere in like the LBLCS headquarters. Every time this team comes up, he's like, I did that. So this team is such a feel good story because it's literally 5 people, I think 4 or 5 people assemble from the free agency recruitment channel. They add, I think, a diamond mid laner, which I think is a perfect fit, especially for financial rosters. I honestly am interested how many financial rosters have a mid laner as an exception player. That's an interesting stats with Valvid. That's
Taking notes.
yeah, I'm taking that like a mental note there. But I think Team Chaos 3-0. They look dominant. They beat High Alert Nightmares. They feel like the ideal, like this is like a storybook team. They were assembled in the free agent recruitment channel, came together and created something awesome. So I'm very, very excited to see how they continue to do because it's rolling.
Yes. So that the just five dudes teams, I've got a special place for in my heart, considering Panther Corps recruits, the original Panther Corps roster, captained by ya boy, was also a just 5 guys team, and so Team Chaos, you guys are in at least okay company. You'll probably get to finals. I already made this joke. I'm
You did.
realizing I already made this joke. I don't know. Break the curse, guys. And so we've got Team Chaos taking the top of the group. Praetorian's project. I already made the Praetorian to Simon Cowell reference, right? With One Direction and all that kind of stuff. Anyway.
I don't think so.
All right. Well, if Team Chaos is to Praetorian as One Direction is to Simon Cowell. All right. Architected this shit.
I do remember you made that.
Yeah,
No, I
see,
actually
yeah,
remember you
like I
making this
knew
joke.
it, and then you
That
made
was
me go
good.
ahead and say it. Just like
That was good. That was good.
It took me. I had to be refreshed.
Yeah,
My
me too.
mind had to be. I had to think about it.
That was
But yeah,
good.
I mean, as well in that group, I think this is also feels like a pretty solid soup group. I think Outsiders and Strawberry Milk, I think they've had the rough early start, but they could rev up pretty easily. TTP, Sensei Randall's is a wild team that really is capable of breaking the glass ceiling. And then you've got teams like Team Volatility Rat Knights, who are very good. You know, they have a bunch of LBLCS veterans on that team that are looking to kind of reinstate their spot, get to playoffs, and make some noise. And Nice Narwhals, adjacent from the Naughty Narwhals, have some absolute power players in certain roles, and are also looking to punch up. And on top of all that, High Alert Nightmares isn't gone anywhere. Yeah, they took a loss to Team Chaos, but they could easily continue to roll through the group if the cards fall their way, if they continue to play at that level we saw for the first 2 games.
Yeah, and I think opposite to kind of what we saw with like Big Pharma in commercial, there's another team in commercial that was similar where like they're on the top of the group, but they face like kind of the teams outside the playoff picture. Chaos they beat the Rat Knights, they beat High Alert Nightmares, and then they beat the Trash Pandas, who currently are in the picture. But that's teams 2 and 3. So like as the standings currently are at,
Yes.
they're looking to be the definitive best team in the group. Now I do think that the Nightmares and the Rat Knights are both absolutely like top tier teams. Rat Knights had a really strong game against Chaos, and even Nightmares. I was watching that series. I think it was Wednesday, and they had control early, especially in like game 2, and it was just kind of like late game team fights. Chaos kind of got the edge, but this group, I still think it's wide open. But right now, Chaos definitely like sitting on top. Can't forget about Sensei Randall's. The curveball, always gonna throw curveballs into the league. They had a pretty solid series last week against the Outsiders. So if there's a team currently outside the picture, that would be like the easy pick to like shoot their way up. But again, still plenty of time in the season. It's plenty of time for shuffling draft strategies, roster lineups, all that kind of stuff. A lot of series left to play.
Very excited to see how they play.
Also very excited. I think we're all sort of in agreement there. And like outside of Team Chaos, the difference is like the playoff difference is not more than a match, and so seeing which teams will over the course of the next few weeks start to punch up and start to maybe see if we can get a little bit of separation going on in this group, much like oil and vinegar sort of start to separate a little bit when you leave them, and you got to shake it up a little bit after that. You drizzle it over a salad. It's delectable. So can anybody tell that I'm hungry? Maybe I'll go to the Raisin Canes to introduce myself to that.
No, you won't.
Yeah, I won't. So it seems like for Financial Group D, we've got Team Chaos as the feel-good story. Praetorian can feel good about his team architecting skills. And then we've got a really nice soup group beneath them, right? So it's like sprinkling a little bit of like chopped scallions like onto a soup. Right, just like
You
love
gotta
that
get
topping.
something to eat.
What is happening to you
So
right now?
hungry.
You gotta get something to
It's
eat.
got it on the mind, man.
I got a big old
mind.
Got a big old bolognese right here.
But yeah, ooh, that could be good. That could be good. So I mean that just about covers it for financial. And that also sort of takes us up to our financial match of the week, which we're gonna go ahead and say is the financial week 4 match. The financial week 4 match of the week is not the way to say that. Anyway,
Hold on.
looking ahead. Go ahead.
Hold
Do
on.
you have a drum roll?
Smack my ass like a drum.
Okay, that's not what I thought it was.
So
It's a
that's
drum.
not a drum roll.
It's drum.
That is not what you thought that was gonna be.
It's worth a shot. It's worth a shot.
Was it?
Oh,
You never know.
You lied.
We're playing roulette, okay? I also didn't look at what server it was from before I clicked it. I was just like, drum? I know it's not the other drum.
This guy saw the drum roll emote.
Emote. It looked like a drum roll. I
No,
was like,
in your
okay.
defense, it did have the snare drum.
Okay,
Like
it could
an
be
emotion.
like, I have this. That's not the same.
No.
Definitely not the same.
It doesn't tell you what Discord this is from either. It
Might want to
Oh.
figure that out and like.
Might want
look
to
into
check
that.
that one out. We can revolve.
Wow, that sounded great.
My bad, guys. My bad.
Anyway.
I love doing that to Jack every single time. Every single time.
It's so terrifying.
Guys, you can't. Okay, that is a tame Discord sound. You guys are like, what Discords is he in? Guys,
I was gonna say, like,
that is not
if
good.
that's-
That is not,
if that Discord sound is causing you to ask about what Discords he's in, I know you're in some like.
Oh, Val, I did say that
vanilla-ass
on purpose.
Servers.
Okay, cool.
one big bowl of nays.
Bowl of nays, yeah, it's a good one.
bowl of nays.
Anyway,
One big bowl of
our-
nays.
The season 13 week 4 match of the week for financial is Panther Corps Highlanders versus the Live Wires. Me versus Lest Force. It's gonna be a good
It is
one.
so hype.
I'm super excited for it. I don't know.
Can't wait for Let's Force to spam gank Jack.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. You won't need to.
That's fair.
Jack will come to Lex himself.
That's true.
That's fair.
That's true.
1v1 in the jungle.
Secure
level one.
vision for the team. Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's like I gotta
I mean,
secure that vision. If I don't get caught out for a ward at least 4 times in a series, then I'm somebody's on my account. All right, that's all I'm gonna say. Maybe I shouldn't
Yeah.
say that. Anyway.
This is a really interesting game
Yeah.
because I think two members of well, actually I'm not 110% sure if it's 2 members or 3 members of Live Wires have played on PC Highlanders.
Oh yeah, Praetorian.
yeah.
4.
everyone except for
Verja, Dukeman, formerly Slothman, and I'm just Shen, formerly Shenmue player.
Yeah, everybody except Les Force, and then obviously versions Dukeman,
Mhm.
formerly known as Slothman, went to finals for Ronin in commercial season 10.
We don't talk about that.
What happened after that?
Shut up.
season ended just prematurely.
Andy Gwynn
COVID.
happened. Andy Gwynn happened, or the lack thereof. Actually,
The lack
That
of
was the
Andy
bubble
Gwen
season.
happened.
the lack of Andy Gwynn happened.
That was the bubble
But,
season.
Yeah, Bear may not like that. But yeah, so I think there's a lot of I think if Highlanders is to lose this series, Praetorian will never leave Jack alone.
Yeah, that's so
That
true,
just
actually.
won't happen.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's
You got
so-
a
That's
lot.
a great
So
response.
funny, dude.
That's
That
a
is-
great response.
Yeah, that's
so
big,
funny.
actually.
Quick play, quick right hook coming back from Bear there.
Dude.
That's
Oh,
what I
Well,
like
no,
to
I'm gonna
see.
win actually this season because if Bear wins a title this season, I by proxy
Also
get to
win
claim
a title,
it.
yeah.
So
Holy
it's
shit. Yeah,
it's really-
that's huge.
like it's such a dub. So you can
Yeah.
hurt my feelings now in the moment, but it's only gonna last for a couple months.
Yeah, it's actually kind of a couple months is crazy. It's kind of like a win-win because if Bear loses on volatility, you're like, well, you couldn't win anything on volatility. You can't make fun of me for not winning on volatility. And if
Exactly.
he does win, you get to just claim his ring. So it's like, well, you'll have 2 because the third one is less forces. It's different.
Yeah, I actually will just take all the player strings and just fill the whole hand, right?
Yep, like Thanos.
Like Bill
Yeah,
Russell.
I can't send
Oh,
players a trophy. I just keep the trophy myself because that's the way you do it. That's what Les Force is gonna do. He's gonna buy one big ring that just says "Congratulations, Les Force, on your championship."
Oh, I gotta write this down.
Yeah, keep noting.
And as Les Force takes notes on that idea, let's push it on over to Executive Group A for our penultimate group of discussion before we close out our episode. So, looking at Executive A, it looks like we've got a lot of fun stuff happening here. And our only team with 0 games played. Broken Household. More like,
Zealous.
Or
more
like broken Google
scheduling.
scheduling app. Oh my gosh!
Get out of my head.
0 games played.
yeah.
3 weeks into
Undefeated.
the
Undefeated.
undefeated
Defeated.
has not taken a loss yet.
Has not taken a
Um,
loss. Only
I
team
think
in the group to
obviously
not
might
have
have-
taken a loss.
Well, that's just. Oh, I guess yeah. in
I mean,
games,
technically,
that's-
I guess. All
I
right.
was like, yeah, Glue Eaters also hasn't taken a
They dropped the
serious
game.
loss.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
TL can say they had an undefeated season, so can Glue Eater so far.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of, hope there's no 100 Thieves
you know-
fans around.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Whoa.
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 I mean, life happens. So I'm sure they will get their games played, but this also means we get to make fun of Zelius for another week or so. Do they play on Sunday? Actually, I'm curious.
I don't know. I'll check. While I'm checking that out, tell me a little bit about some of the other teams in this group, and what we're looking for here, and they do not play.
Glue Eater's on a roll. Glue Eater stocks are going up, directly up, up. You know, we were talking early in the season. There's a good chance that this team that had basically this core of this team that had just been to finals, executive finals against the Lost Cause, no longer has to worry about Lost Cause. You know, and they beat Past Prime, which you know, they did their job in ruining Vega's year, ruining Vega's season.
Ruining my life.
Okay, wow, escalated. You know, their second, and I think they're probably looking to make their third finals in 4 seasons. By the way, like kind of as a unit, that's an insane stat. There's not a lot of teams that can rival that. High alert, like high alert, like in heavy quotation marks, they're looking to do the same thing. Technically,
The
in
org?
name, yeah, like in name only, technically, in commercial.
Oh, Henchman. Okay.
Oh, Henchman,
Yeah.
yeah.
I know who you're
Well,
talking
no,
about.
because the original
tell.
High Alert did it in 10, technically. So it's both. It's both teams. The entire org. Can't, man.
Thank God we have like
yeah.
names for each squad, so that when we're talking about an
But-
org's teams, we
This
know
is the
which team we're
only
talking
constant
about.
on every episode. This is the only constant bit that makes it through every single episode.
Oh, but it doesn't even, the bit doesn't even make sense here because I'm talking about the season 10 High Alert team that was just named High Alert.
Which should have
Me and
been
Jack
named
have
the Henchman.
ADHD. We black
Irrelevant.
out in the middle of every segment and then come back at some point and make a comment that doesn't make sense.
That's I mean that's it's the way to be, you know? It just keeps things exciting, it keeps things interesting. So what it sounds like is that here in Executive Group A, we've got sort of the Glue Eaters on top in a fairly definitive way. And then we've got Loses Improve sort of following like right
Mhm.
next to them. And Broken Household as an untested team, right? Like the waters have not yet been sort of, dipped in for Broken Household here.
That surface tension is still there.
We've still got some surface tension on that one. So what are some of the things that we need to know about this group sort of as we head into week 4?
I mean, it's actually a little interesting, like looking at the schedule and kind of the standings. Despite Loses Improved being in that second spot right now, they were 2-0'd by the Glue Eaters, whereas Goobers Incorporated and S&E Academy, who it looks like they actually played their week 4 game already. Looking at the schedule, S&E
Mhm.
Academy versus Glue Eaters, they both took a game and looked pretty good in that game against Glue Eaters. So kind of like, I don't want to say the standings like not telling the full story, but both of those 3 and 4 teams are looking pretty good. Again, S&E's already played their week 4 matchup, whereas the Goobers are playing Onsai Gaming. So that, I mean, again, big series. Only top 4 make playoffs. You definitely want to like secure those victories where you can get them early in the season, because it looks like at the end is when these teams like in the middle of the picture are going to be facing off against each other. But yeah, just get your games in. Zelius, the whole booth is disappointed in you. Just gonna put that one out on the record.
Wow.
Not
Yeah.
not mad, just disappointed.
Just disappointed. It's okay. Well, I'm certain he'll schedule games at some point. Yeah, and so it seems like we've got. I just feel like we've just got a lot of good groups, which I appreciate. Because it means that whenever there's a stream, you guys can tune in and enjoy something awesome. Vega, do you have any final thoughts on Executive A before we close out with our last but not least group?
No, just shout out Lose to Improve. We had them rated in kind of the question mark tier. And just shout out to them being 2-1 right now. This is a group that, especially with only having like 7 teams, they have a little bit more leeway since only 3 teams don't make playoffs. But like we said in previous groups, nabbing those early wins means a ton. And yeah, just hopefully we get some more games in so we can get a better read on some of these executive teams.
True. And Loses Improve, true to their name, has played 3-game series. Series. They've only played 3 games in their series. Nope, that would still be plural. You guys know what I'm going for, so I'm just going to move us on. Taking a look at Executive Group B here. I love that, like, since I'm controlling, like, the stream and everything like that, I can just, like, when I start floundering, I can just be like, all right, moving on. And so as we take a look at the standings for Executive Group B, we're finding fewer games played. Unlucky. But
Wow.
no teams with 0 games played, so that's something. So tell me a little bit about the standings as we have them here. Um, we've got the Guangdong Tigers, who we had an S tier, I think for excitement reasons, and Hyler
Charles, who you got?
Eclipse.
He's either playing in China or Japan.
China or Japan. We need to
That's
be
not the name of the
more
team.
specific.
Guangdong Tigers. Ni hao! Ni hao!
We knew it.
And that's that they're there, and they are just squeaking away from that playoff spot. So we'll see what ends up happening with that.
They're in the hunt.
They're in the hunt.
Okay.
They're in the hunt.
Okay. Let's put a positive spin on this. They're in the hunt.
So as we start to like let the standings digest a little bit more, with whatever games we have, tell me a little bit about what some of the early conclusions, that we can draw are.
Dirty Rats making the jump to executive so far has looked good. We have really limited information on this
Really
group,
limited.
so a lot of our takes I'm sure are not going to be terribly in depth here. But yeah, shout out to Dirty Rats starting season 2. They were both 3-game series, it looks like. But still, like, I know that was a big question mark we had coming into the season was we thought they'd be a pretty good team. They've always kind of been on that bubble in between. We wondered how the jump would be because obviously the competition is a big jump between financial and executive, but so far so good. So shout out to them and High Alert and Post 5 Toast so far undefeated, 1-0. So we'll see how that continues. Good chance for some of these teams to put a gap between them. Some of the teams down at the bottom of the standings secure a little bit more of that leniency as we head towards the mid-season, or for these guys, week 2. But yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, a high alert executive team won a game. I think that's a huge thing. First win for that team in the executive league. I know
Let's
Bear's also
go.
very excited about it.
That is big.
But I am really excited to see how executive shapes up going forward.
And it was a 2-0.
It was a 2-0 dominant win.
They look good. Yeah, they look
They
really
did.
good.
They look good. Yeah.
Les Force, do you have any thoughts on Executive Group B before we go to our Executive Match of the Week and close out this week's weekly review?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of looking through the games, kind of seeing, what has stood out. I think Make-A-Wish, they were a team that we didn't really talk about the first couple episodes because they came in, after the initial episodes.
That's true.
They look like they seem to have a pretty, definitive way they like to play. I mean, I always love engaged junglers, so looking at VeggieTales, they're kind of popping off on the Jarvan, and I see a monstrous Gragas mid game, which seems like an anomaly. Not a chance that I think would be popping off an exec, but no more Mr. Nice living up to the name. That's a matchup. They're playing against DRX this week, which again, I don't know if that's our match of the week, but that's a match that I think looks pretty interesting. Or that's actually the match for this current week. Let me consult the sheet. It hasn't been scheduled, so we can say it'll be played next week potentially.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, we hope. Yeah, that's just where it is with exec beta. Just not a ton of games to be played. Just hopefully we catch up and we got some more info to dive into.
Well, that seems to be the name of the game here for Executive. We want more data on these matches, which takes us very naturally into discussing unveiling our Executive Match of the Week, which was You don't want to do the same little
I'll do it. Hold
soundboard
on.
thing.
I got it. Hold on.
Okay, thank you.
Smack my ass like a drum.
Our Executive Week 4 match of the week is Loses Improve versus Broken Household, if they ever schedule a match. So ideally that ends up happening so that we can chat a little bit about all of that stuff. And that is going to close out our review of the standings so far. All of you, thank you so much for watching. If you missed a group that you wanted to listen to, just pay attention to the YouTube channel. I'll start the upload as soon as we get off here. So that you guys can go ahead and watch it, and maybe somebody with more time than me will go through and timestamp it. Probably not though. We'll see what happens. This was another delicious review of the standings, and I appreciate my co-hosts oh so much. Les Force, any final words before we close out for the day?
No, just looking forward to our exciting match next week. Hopefully both teams have fun, right?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see exactly what happens. Exactly. Yeah. Vega, any final thoughts before we close out?
No, just glad to be back. Really good episode, I thought. Play your games, guys. We want to have stuff to talk about with you guys. The more games you play, the more information we have, the more we can talk about. And as first couple of weeks, keep sending us stuff interesting about your teams. If stuff's going on with you guys, let us know. Might have some fun stuff happening on the next episode. I'm sure I'll let the people who are more organized than me announce and talk about that stuff. But yeah, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, please, we love the storylines. We love hearing from you about your teams. We love being able to say your names on the big screen, and so that you can hear them. That's part of our favorite part about the LBLCS, since we want to make it part of yours as well. Valentine, any final thoughts before we sign off for the day?
What happened? I just zoned out.
Any final thoughts before we zone out? Before we zone out for the day? Before we close out for the day?
No, I'm very excited. We're getting we are heating up. The season is getting very fun. So we're going to I know the creative team has got eyes. I think this is like weeks 3, 4, 5 are a perfect time to kind of pick a team and be like, let's talk about this. So I think the next few weeks could have some fun in store.
I completely agree. Well, that will wrap us up for our Week 3 review and a little bit of a preview into the Week 4 matches of the week. All of you guys, thank you so much for joining us here at this lovely, lovely Denny's. We enjoy the food that we eat, and we enjoy being able to talk about our favorite amateur League of Legends league with all of you guys, and being able to just chat. That's it's something we look forward to every week, and we look forward to it mostly because of you guys. So again, the VOD will be up on YouTube, so you can go back and rewatch any section that you missed, or rewatch any section that you want to check out again, or watch any section that you missed. But with that, I think that's going to close us out. And so all of you guys, just remember, be safe, and it does indeed take two to tango. So have a great...
Bye, guys.
Have a good night.
Peace.